to video 3. Today we're going to be talking about the House of Representatives and the Senate. We're going to look into what they each do individually and then how they work together. So let's get started. So the House of Representatives, the function and rules, that's where we want to start today. The function of the House, just like the function of the Senate, is to make laws. That's their number one goal, is to create laws. And rules in the House of Representatives, the procedures for how things are done, are based on precedent. And we've seen that word precedent before, but just a quick reminder, precedent is a guideline or example upon which future things are done. Okay. So, for example, George Washington set a precedent whenever he stepped down after serving only 2 terms. Okay. So, the House is led by a few different people. And it's currently led by the Speaker of the House, who is Mike Johnson. Okay. Now, the Speaker of the House is actually third in line for in the presidential line of succession. So, if something were to happen to the president and the vice president, the Speaker of the House would become president. But the Speaker of the House is a position that is voted on by the entire House of Representatives. Okay. So that position can change. The person who holds that position can change at any time. Okay. There's also leadership who's in charge of various functions in the House of Representatives. You have a majority leader, you have a minority leader. The majority leader is the person who leads the majority party, so the party that has the most people. The minority leader then, of course, leads the other party. And then they have various assistants and things like that. And the lawmaking process in the House of Representatives has a very specific function. So the bills are actually traditionally placed in the hopper, which is this brown box right here, and it's just like attached to the speaker's desk. And then after the bill is introduced that way, then the speaker and others in leadership can look at the bill and say, okay, based on the content of this bill, it needs to go to this committee. And then once it goes to that committee, then they go through their committee process. We'll talk more about this later on in class. And then once the bill makes it through the committee process, then it's placed on a calendar. And that calendar tells members of the House when the bill is going to be discussed and then when they can vote on it. So after it's placed on the calendar, then it's scheduled for discussion and debate. And then it is up for a vote. So that's the process in the House. Now, switching gears to the Senate. The Senate's function, just like the House, is to make laws. But the rules in the House are a little more informal than they are in the Senate or in the House, because in the Senate, there are fewer people. So you don't really have to have a strict set of rules. Leadership in the Senate starts at the top with the vice president. And the vice president is a member of our federal government that actually has a role in 2 different branches. Of course, the vice president is in charge of helping the president in the executive branch, but they're also in charge of the Senate. Next on the list is the president pro tempore. And the president pro tempore is the person who steps up to lead the Senate if the vice president isn't there for whatever reason. And the president pro tempore is voted on by the majority party. So the people, or the party that has the most people in the Senate, gets to choose the president pro tempore. And it also has party leadership. Just like the House of Representatives, there are different leaders within the Senate. You have a majority leader, a minority leader, and assistant leaders as well. So the lawmaking process in the Senate's a little bit different than it is in the House. Again, it's a lot less formal. The bill starts off being introduced. Any member of the Senate can introduce a bill. Then it goes to a calendar. And then the committees also have a role in the Senate, but not as big of a role as they do in the House. Then there's discussion and debate. And in order to end debate on a bill, you have to vote to end the debate. So what happens if nobody votes to end the debate? Well, then we could have a filibuster, which is a stalling tactic to try to prevent or stall a vote on a bill. After the filibuster is ended, inevitably it will be ended, then the entire Senate votes on the bill. And I will stop there. We'll talk about more stuff, including who this guy is, in class. If you guys have any questions, let me know.